What is up, geeks and geekettes? It's another episode of the Countdown to the Geekcast, but this is a very special sort of side project that me and Jericho are doing. This is the continuation of our Bad Batch review series, if you will. The season's over. Let's get that out of the way real quick. The season's over, but Jericho and I are sort of taking our time through it. We've had a lot of other things that we've been talking about on a weekly basis. So now is our chance because some things have already finished. Now is our chance to go back, watch each and every episode of the Bad Batch, and just discuss the hell out of it and take our time with it. And so this is our episode 2 discussion. My name is Steady, and with me is the one and only Jericho. What's going on, man?
What's up, y'all? How you doing, man?
Fantastic, fantastic. Glad we're getting to do this
For
finally. We've been
sure.
so busy with everything else.
So
Uh,
much content, so much
there's so many great,
shows, movies.
and it's not even great shows that you and I discuss like on the podcast, but there's things that we talk about outside of the podcast,
Hmm.
things that we watch, things that we don't miss. It's just a great time in entertainment, I think, because more and
Yeah.
more TV shows, projects, movies are getting funded. Ideas that are really out there are getting produced, and you're like, "Wow, this is interesting stuff." So I
Hmm.
think it's a great time for creators to take risks and for studios to take risks on some things. And what do you know? I mean, this is kind of one in that boat. 20 years ago, would you ever imagine having an animated series about Star characters in the Star Wars universe have nothing to do with Jedi, nothing to do
Not
with
at all.
nothing. This is never happening. 20, 30, even probably 15 years ago, probably not. So the fact that we're having a group of characters that this show is focused on that are completely separate from any of the major characters, I think is tremendous. So here we go, episode 2 of the Bad Batch. I'm gonna go ahead and kind of go through some summary points here, and let's get into it, man. You ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Let's do this. All right. Let's see. Episode 2, Cruz on the Run. We saw that after the first episode. Very long premiere, but absolutely loved it. And they're on the run, looking for help. They visit some old friends. Cut, actually, who was a deserter of the clone army and chose the family life, which is fantastic. It's always great seeing these stories of clone troopers kind of deviate from the status quo. More and more, they're starting to think for themselves and really put their needs and their wants above what they were all created and trained for, right? So that's great. Um, the new galactic empire's presence is felt, heightening security and making it harder for the team to travel. Complete martial law in the space around this group. They're basically on the top of the most wanted list for the galactic empire at this point. Omega clearly lets her curiosity get the better of her, nearly gets herself killed. This is the part of the episode where they're outside playing and they keep telling her, "Don't go past that fence. Don't do it, Omega." This feels a lot like The Walking Dead, like a Carl situation. Like, stay in the goddamn house, Carl. I know Carl pissed you off like way too many times.
For sure. He never listened. He always
Did you?
brought more and more trouble to the group,
There
anywhere they
you go.
were.
Did
Yeah.
you have any inkling on what was the reason they were telling her like, "Don't go past the fence"? Like, was it because of creatures? Was it because of like the people around this area are not very nice? Like, what was your first thoughts about that?
I thought it was about the people. Yeah. It makes sense that it was a creature, but yeah, I thought it was just the people. Maybe they just weren't friendly, or maybe they were just trying to stay incognito. They were sort of not on the run, but he's trying to leave his old life behind.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, so I thought it was just some simple as like staying incognito, or staying away from people in general.
absolutely. What are your thoughts? What are your first impressions about Cut?
I mean, he's totally changed his life around. He's still the he still knows his stuff. You know that saying like once a soldier, always a soldier. So he still knows how to do everything, and his wife is trained too. But yeah, I mean, yeah, the family life suits him, and it's really cool to get an episode like this where he was an important character, and he wasn't just somebody that just kind of left.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel, how do I say, it didn't feel like a rushed idea to give him a family and all that stuff. Like they give him a good story. Even if this is the only time we ever see him again, who knows if we'll see him in the future. But I think it's really cool that they did something like this. So yeah, family life suits him. He's living the good life now.
I'll say definitely. And again, like I said, it's refreshing that even in the movies, we're kind of seeing more and more stories about, like Finn. What was his number?
FN
FN
something,
1287, something like that.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, troopers sort of deviating from the status quo. They have feelings too. They have their
Hmm.
own thoughts and stuff. And what I really like, I'm pretty sure it's this episode. You start seeing, because of the clone situation, because this team is sort of on the run. You now have like the initial ideas of like, let's stop using clones. And I know
Hmm.
everybody on Camino hates that idea because that's their like bread and butter. That's
Yeah.
that's pretty much their primary uh s- um primary
Income
export.
and yeah, exactly.
Their entire industry exporting, bottled humans or whatever. But yeah, so I love the idea that this is sort of the audience, the Star Wars fans, coming into seeing that transition, because we know there was a transition somewhere
Oh yeah.
between the prequels and the sequels, not the sequels, the original trilogy. We knew that there was some transition in there somewhere, because eventually they got away from the whole clone idea. Um, and so, yeah, we're actually seeing kind of the seed being planted throughout the early episodes of
Hmm.
like, oh yeah, let's think about that a little bit. And that's got to be a major subplot. I'm not going to try and get ahead of what we're watching, right?
Right.
um so it's interesting to me that that seed's being planted, and even though it's like a subplot, it's not like our main characters aren't really focused on that right now. But it's so cool that so many little details in the greater Star Wars universe, they take the time to really like explore those ideas and
Yeah.
explore those origins. And this is, I think, one of those important things where the Empire, you know, where they got the clones in the first place, and then eventually how they kind of stray away from them. Is it somewhere in the original trilogy, or is it just the sequels that they get away from the clone army?
Not No, it's not until A New Hope where
Yeah.
by A New Hope, when A New Hope came out, we didn't know there was ever clones in the past. So
Right.
yeah, as far as we
They
knew, it
just
was
thought,
always just people. Yeah.
yeah,
Um, that's what I think I said this when we did episode one for Bad Batch. What I like about this show, it reminds me of Rogue Story.
yeah.
Where we know what happens.
Rogue One.
Rogue One, yeah, Rogue Story, Rogue One. I knew it sounded weird.
That was that
Um,
X-Men movie you watched,
yeah,
Rogue Story.
exactly. But what I like is we know what happens from episodes 1 through 3 and episodes 4 through 6.
Yeah,
What happened in between? And so Rogue One was sort of that, gave you that idea, and it gave you that room to write what happened. And that's what I like about Bad Batch, because the same thing, just like you were saying, we didn't know about clones, what happened to the clones, and now we're starting to kind of see that seed is being planted, and we're trying to see like how it makes sense and what happened to the clones and all this stuff. So I really like it, and um, I know we already talked about it before. I finished the whole season, so they do explain quite a bit, and it's amazing.
yeah,
Um, so we won't get ahead of ourselves or anything, but that's what I love about this show. There's just so much that they, so much detail that they um, fit into each episode, and sometimes you kind of have to watch them again and again just to kind of pick up on everything,
Absolutely.
to get everybody's story. So I love that. I really love that.
I've watched these first three episodes multiple times, like two or three times, and it's mostly because I feel like I write my notes and stuff like that. But then when I get ready for us to do this talk and discussion, I really want to refresh myself. And every time I rewatch it, I pick up on something new. And I'm
Hmm.
glad you brought up Rogue One because Rogue One is sort of the best example of we know what the end result is,
Yeah.
and you can tell us not the main plot. Like I'm not talking about how does Anakin become Vader. That's like a main story, but you can tell us a side plot or a subplot like um, how does this Death Star in A New Hope,
Hmm.
the original Star Wars film, have this like shaft that you can shoot a missile in, and it goes all the way to the core to blow it up. And so, yeah, like Rogue One threw in a reason, and it's a
Yeah.
valid reason. It's like, oh, the dude that was forced to make it decided to, have a contingency plan. That way, somebody could take this sucker out, and the Empire wouldn't know any better. So yeah, I love that idea. The fans don't ask for it. At least I
Yeah.
don't think the fans ask. Like I
I
I
mean,
would
there's,
admit, like people would make jokes like,
yeah.
"Why is it so easy to blow up a Death Star?" I admit there's jokes and stuff to be made, but anybody who's writing these stories, like that's not the priority for them.
Right.
It's not Rogue One wasn't made so that we would have a reason to uh dismiss all the jokes that were made about why the Death Star was so easy to take it down. Anyways, we're getting off topic, but
Right.
that's
That's a whole another episode.
that's a whole episode. But it's a great um another example of just like don't overthink it, right?
Hmm.
We know where things end up. We know how things turn out, and so give us the threads. Give us the threads that tie all of this stuff together. And we're watching Bad Batch and talking about Bad Batch right now. But they've continued to do this in other series.
Yeah.
Um, Clone Wars. Clone Wars was a show that they brought back. We did a finale discussion on it, and like that, another great example of just like we know where things end up, but the way that they tied the threads together, beautiful, absolutely masterful. And I don't want to spoil that for anybody who didn't see it, but if you didn't watch the final season of Clone Wars,
And
one of the
they take their time. That's what I like about it too. Like even with this show too, like it's not just here's the reason. They don't just throw it out at you. Like they feed it to you and they string you along. But it's interesting to know because you want to know what's happening, but and it doesn't feel like they're trying to retcon anything. They're just like this is no, this is something that we've always had. Now we have the opportunity to explain. Movies are only 2 hours, 2.5 hours long. Even if it was a set, 8 hour, I mean 8 episode, 9 episode movie, you can't really have everything explained. So then you have these kind of shows, and hey, I mean, to me, it's perfect. For me, it works.
absolutely, I agree with you. It works for me as well. We're like halfway through this episode discussion, so let's go ahead and finish the rest of the stuff. Tech and Echo, they actually have an idea of what to do. They come up with a plan. Desert the ship to get it impounded, and then retrieve a chain code. Only problem is the child Omega is on board after it gets impounded. Hunter makes plans for Omega to get off world with Cut and Sue. As a fight ensues between the clones and the crew, turns out Omega doesn't follow through, and she actually joins the team midway through the battle, and they escape with Omega. Um, Already the second episode, right? But they're already pulling at the emotion strings,
Hmm.
and it works. It's working. Hunter, you can already see his ties to Omega. You can already feel it pulling
Yeah.
on the heartstrings. That's what I was trying to say. They're already pulling on the heartstrings, and it's working for me. So if you're only 2 episodes in and you're already able to make this stuff work, it doesn't just work on paper, but it works on the show. Then you're doing something right. And we got a
Right.
long way to go through the season, but for right now, it's working on all fronts. The action sequences are great. The emotional moments are working really well for me. I love the banter. I love the camaraderie and the chemistry between this crew, and just excited for more, man. Well, what are your thoughts throughout these final sequences of the episode?
Yeah, I mean, it's great. Like you said, they're pulling on the heartstrings already. I mean, Hunter's already making the tough decision to leave Omega behind,
Dude, yeah.
but it's sort of a double-edged sword. It's like leaving her because he doesn't want to put her in danger, and she's a kid. He wants her to have this life with Cud and his family, but at
Yep.
the same time, he doesn't want to have how do I say it, have like a liable person there, like somebody who can kind of not sabotage, but who can possibly mess up the missions, and so I think it was sort of she's part of the team, but at this point he's like, no, I need her to live her life, not even worry about us.
I think
She's not a soldier, so
I think you're right. I think you're half right. I think part of it
yeah,
is, yeah, number one, let's not put her in danger. Number two, it's a little bit less of her messing up the mission and a little bit more of, I don't need you as a distraction.
yeah,
Like, you add another layer to everything, and
right,
I have to watch the backs of these guys a certain level, and I can't put their lives in more danger because I have to take care of yours more than them. I
hmm,
think for him, it's, you are a burden. You make the mission riskier. You make the
yeah,
mission tougher. So it's almost, in my opinion, it is like, let's keep you out of danger, but also like, my job is easier if you're not here.
yeah,
And he gives in. He has to. He's got no choice at this point. But a little piece of him is actually happy to see her, I think.
oh yeah, oh yeah, for sure,
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, the further we go into the season, especially the next episode, we're actually going to see what value Omega can bring to the team, and it's
for
it's pretty
sure.
exciting and it's pretty great. Any final thoughts on episode 2?
No, man. I mean, this first two episodes, like we said, I mean, we're already uh, we have just a nugget of an idea of how great the season's going to be, and the stories that's going to come into play. So I'm excited to keep discussing the rest of the season. Like, I'm excited for us to watch it and just talk about it.
Absolutely. And we want to hear from you guys. This is going to be our Bad Batch sort of retrospective series, if you will. We're going to go through these episodes each and every day, most likely, and discuss the hell out of them and go all the way through. But we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on episode 2 of the Bad Batch? And what are your favorite characters? What are your favorite moments? We want to hear from you guys. So let us know in the comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe for more discussions of the Bad Batch, as well as all of our other movies, all of the TV shows. Please like and subscribe to our channel. And we will catch you next time. For the Geekcast, my name is Steady. With me on this Bad Batch episode 2 discussion is the one and only Jericho.
There we go.